Hi snooker fans, Curtis Braithwaite here with the reigning German Masters champion and world number 15 Martin Gould. We're here to do a Q&A session today. Martin, how are you, mate?
Not too bad. You have to excuse a bit of a croaky voice at the moment. I've been a little bit under the weather.
No problem, mate, and thanks again for your time. Martin, what made you take up snooker in the beginning?
Not really sure, to be honest. I was only a wee little nipper sitting in my cot, and my dad used to watch snooker regular as clockwork. When the World Championship used to be on for 2 weeks, it used to be a case of from first ball right the way through the whole day. Not like how it is now on BBC, of course. And it was just one day I just sort of arose from the dead, laid in my cot, fast kip, snooker music come on, and I kind of just rose up and started. And my dad took it as a sign, and I've been ever since, sort of like 3, 4, just not stopped either watching snooker or playing it. So that was probably what made me get into it, to be fair.
Good stuff. And to date, who's had the most influence on your career?
I'd have to say, like, mum, dad, my sister. If it weren't for them in the early days helping me by not just getting me a snooker table, but like paying all my entrance fees and taking me to tournaments, etc., I wouldn't be in this position. So if it wasn't for them, they've been a great help. And then as your career goes on, then you find yourself with coaches and people like that. Del Hill's been a good help to me over the time, and obviously I'm working with Stephen Feeney now. So everyone's had their little part to play at some point, but the family come first.
Okay, Martin, what are your goals for the coming season?
Pot as many balls as I can, really. That's the plan. I don't really set myself too many plans. My biggest thing for me is just making sure that I go out there, do the best that I can, and enjoy myself. If I'm enjoying myself, I think most of the fans that watch me play, if I'm enjoying myself, they get a treat. So that's probably the biggest part for me. If you can win tournaments, that's massive. Obviously, I'm here to win every event I play, but like I say, it's more a case of getting on, enjoying myself, and just letting the cue do the work.
Martin, there's loads of great cue makers out there, but what cue do you currently use?
I've had my cue for about 20 years now. It's an Aon cue from Coventry, A&A cues. Paris has done a fair bit of work on it over the years. It's needed some tune-up and stuff, but I've had it 20 years in touchwood. It's still in good nick. Paris himself actually puts the tips on for me as well. I use medium to hard blue diamond as well, so I can't complain with some of the work that he does for me. But my cue also has sight right technology in it as well, so I've got the best of both worlds.
Good stuff. Now, you've had quite a successful career so far, but what's your most memorable match to date?
I've had quite a few. I've been on the wrong end of a few as well. Most memorable match, probably, well, you tend to remember more matches that you've won than you lost, but you also get the odd one that is a bit of a painful one that does just linger and will never be removed. Most memorable, there's been a couple that I've had at the Crucible that have gone down quite well. Like with me and Marco have had quite a few humdinging matches at the Crucible. I think all 3 matches that I've played against him at the Crucible have been really good. The German Masters final was memorable for winning my first ranking event. Winning the shootout, all those little, every sort of tournament that you win, they're all kind of memorable matches to have won. So it's pretty hard to just pinpoint one. It would be quite a few, to be honest.
Okay, this is a bit of a tough one, but what's your most painful defeat?
2010, 11-5 up. Still have sleepless nights about it now. No, I don't really. To be fair, I got over that pretty quickly. You have to these days now. With so many tournaments, you can't afford to let anything linger. You see so many of the youngsters that are coming through, they have 1 or 2 bad results and it affects their whole season. But the match with Neil was definitely, well, there's that one, and there's a couple of others like David Grace at the UK, 5-1 up on Trud at the World Grand Prix, but the match with Judd at the World Grand Prix, I can't actually turn around and say, well, I threw it away. I didn't get a chance from 5-1. So it's not like when I played David, where I had plenty of chances and didn't take them. But yeah, them two are the two, because I definitely felt as if I could have gone on, especially to have won the UK anyway. I'm not saying I would have won the World Championship if I'd beaten Neil, but the draw was opening up for me. So them two are definitely a bit on the painful side, but I'm quite fortunate. I have a good boxer's chin. I've taken many punches and I've been able to still stand up.
Absolutely. Now, who would you say is the toughest player on tour to beat?
I'm pretty sure most people would say the usual suspects, the likes of the Higginses and all that lot, but I find playing people like Ebden and Rod Lawler probably mentally tougher, because they just don't give in. They're not, I wouldn't say because they're slower than normal, but they give everything into every single shot. So likes of Ebden, Lawler, Rory, people like that, they're the ones that you know you've had a match. I beat Rod in one tournament. I beat him 4-1, I think it was, and it still took 2.5 hours, and I've had 4 frame-winning breaks. So you know that you've been in a match. But yeah, there's so many high-standard players now. There is no easy game. Full stop. Every match is now tough. Not like 5-6 seasons ago where you could count on one hand who you didn't mind playing. So yeah, everyone has their own characteristics about them, so that makes them either a sitting duck or someone that's going to be really tough to beat.
Okay, and what's your best personal achievement in snooker to date?
Winning the German Masters, definitely. That was the first major ranking event. I've been fortunate enough to win a PTC, the shootout. Championship League was another good one to win as well, because when you think about it, that's the top 25 players in the world. There's no one Mickey Mouse in there. You might get the odd Donald Duck, but there ain't no Mickey Mouse. But yeah, Championship League was good, and I got to the final the following year. So that kind of format, they've been good to me. But yeah, winning, I think it's 5 titles I've managed to win so far in my career. Hopefully there's plenty more to come, but yeah, the German Masters is the one that stands out for now.
Brilliant. Now, you're quite a likeable lad, and I see you laughing and joking a lot of the tour, but who would you say is your best friend on tour?
I wouldn't really say I have a best friend. I have quite a few people that I like to hang around with. Obviously yourself, Kurt, MOD, Storm, Alan Taylor. We all all from the same area. We all practice together and stuff like that. I am one of those that I do like to keep myself to myself. I try to mix as much as I can, but sometimes you just got to do your own thing. That's how I prefer to be. I'm one of those that I'm more comfortable in my own space than I am with others. But yeah, I've known Martin for 15, nearly 20 years now. We've practiced with each other for a majority of them. We both play in the same club at the moment as well. So it's been good, because he's bounced off of what I've been doing lately, and you can see that he's moving in the right direction himself. I kind of looked after Storm for a little bit when he first started coming on the tour. I was going to all the PTCs a couple of days early to just make sure he was doing the right things and try and help him as much as I can. So I wouldn't really say I have a best friend, but I have quite a few good friends that I know that I can hang around with, and we go out for dinner, etc.
Good stuff. And what's your favourite food to eat?
I love a bit of steak, roast dinner. Can't beat a nice little Sunday roast with all the trimmings. It just makes me want to do Homer Simpson, that doesn't start dribbling. But yeah, I'm not the old Gould. It's gone out the window from a few years ago, where the Colonel used to be involved and the McDonald's. They're all gone now. I don't touch them. Yeah, steak, can't be a bit of ribeye steak or fillet steak. Nice little roast dinner. One thing I do miss is my mum's home cooked stews and stuff like that. I try to make them myself, but I can never somehow get them the same way as she did. But yeah, I try to eat a lot more healthier than what I used to. So it's not easy with the amount of tournaments where we're playing 3-4 matches a day. It's hard to find that natural balance of making sure you eat the right stuff and at the right time. So yeah, if I am a bit fussy with food, but the main thing is, as long as it's edible and it looks okay, I'll eat it.
Okay, good stuff. And your favourite drink?
I love a cup of tea. Bit partial to the old Rosie Lee. Don't mind a latte from Costa's or something like that every so often as well. But I am a big sucker for Pepsi Max. I've been asked a lot of questions lately because everyone sees me drinking something different in tournaments, and I keep getting asked, what is it? Is it Coke? Is it this? It's just to clarify for everyone, it's Pepsi Max, okay? It's got no sugar in it. It's by far the best drink out there. So it's something that I enjoy drinking. I always drink that. It's the case that I don't find water very tasty, and it tends to go straight through me as well. So the last thing I want to do is, with these toilet rules and stuff, keep going to the toilet after every frame and getting fined 250 quid in the process. So, yeah, Pepsi Max for me.
Okay, and what's your favourite venue to play at?
Besides the Crucible, which is obviously the Holy Grail, the Tempodrome is just different class in Germany. You get 2,500 people were in that arena when I played my final versus Luca. And how that roof is still on that building, I do not know. They are by far some of the best fans you could ever imagine playing in front of. They are very knowledgeable. They don't give you any nonsense like some places you do when you're playing in the UK. They just respect every snooker player that they see, and it's hard to find fans like that. They're die-hard fans, and when you consider they don't really have many good snooker players out there anymore, it's quite amazing how well and knowledgeable they are regarding what they can and can't do when they're watching. So besides the Crucible, the Tempodrome by far.
Okay, now you guys have tournaments week in, week out and a real tough schedule, but when you actually get a chance to relax, where do you like to relax away from snooker?
If I'm not on the golf course, hitting a few golf balls, trying to just bang some frustration out. I'm one of those. I'm die hard, sitting on the sofa with the skybox, remote control, kettle, just vegetating out on the sofa. I do watch a lot of DVDs, play on the PlayStation 4 a fair bit. Like I said, with not being at home very often, I do get a bit homesick. So any time that I do get the opportunity to be at home, I will sit at home and just do nothing. The phone goes on to silent and I just go into my own little planet. So yeah, you can't beat being at home. But golf course as well.
Okay, and your favourite music?
I don't really listen to an awful lot of music anymore. I had a spell where I used to listen to a lot of Eminem, 50 Cent and people like that. I have Spotify on my phone, so I've got a mixture of everything really. But other than that, I like a bit of house and garage, some old school stuff like early 90s, stuff like that. But don't really have a favourite kind of type of music anymore. Like I say, with the amount of snooker we're playing all the time, we don't really get the opportunity to listen to much music, so I couldn't even tell you who's number one in the charts these days. So, yeah, I don't really follow the music anymore.
Okay, and who was your sporting hero when you were growing up?
Sporting hero, well, one was definitely Jimmy White. I can't tell you how many times I would have loved to have seen him win the World Championship. But on the other scale, Hendry was another one because of how you had the likes of Hendry, Phil Taylor, Tiger Woods, Federer, people like that. Their way of making sure that whatever event they played, it didn't matter how big or small it was, they made their point that they were going to win that event. Bristow was the same before Taylor. Bristow used to make sure, he basically, before the tournament even started, he said, well, that's in my car with me, that trophy. So all you lot are playing for the runners-up prize. Their will to win, their sacrifices that they made, You can't. They're the proper sportsmen from early 90s into the 2000s. With what you see now with these sportsmen now, you're seeing so many different winners because everyone's sort of all taking the same sort of leaf from them. So you don't, apart from Djokovic, who's just an insane human, you don't really have anyone that stands out anymore that dominating their one sport. So for the fact of how they dominated in the early days, by far them 4 or 5 sportsmen were a cut above the rest.
Brilliant stuff. And last question, if you could run world snooker, what changes would you make and why?
There's quite a few that I think need changing. Don't get me wrong, I respect everything Barry's done. He's taken us from 6 tournaments to like 106. You can't complain at that. At least we're making money. But I do think, don't matter if you're number 128 in the world or number 1. I think everyone needs to be earning money, regardless if you win your first match or not. There's not many sports out there these days where you're a professional sportsman, you're working hard for a living, and you're not getting nothing to show for it. I don't agree with that. I think you've put in your heart and soul for 20 years to get to where you are, and if you're getting told that if you don't win your first match, you get nothing to show for it. You could go the whole season, lose every match on the decider, and have 0 in your bank balance. That's not right. I'd heard in commentary on the French Open, first round losers were getting £30,000.
Wow.
That's a lot of money, and half of them, they know they're not going to beat half the players that are there. They're not good enough. I understand Barry's logic. He said if you're good enough, then you'll win, which is a fair point. But you need to be able to keep every player happy, and if you can, I'm not saying that you've got to pay them a mega amount or pay all of us a mega amount just as a guarantee, but just something for every match that they play, so it gives them some heart back. Because you see so many players that come on the tour for their first time, they might not win a match all season because of the fact of how daunting it can be, and they lose heart from it because they're not making any money, and it's not easy for them to get a sponsor either these days. A lot of companies won't take the risk of having a punt on someone that they've never heard of.
Yeah, absolutely.
That I think is not on. Like, you're a professional sportsman, you should get paid, regardless if you win 15 matches a season or none. Formats, draws, everything can be tinkered and tampered with. There are odds and sods that could make things a hell of a lot better. But I suppose in some ways, how it's going at the moment, it's probably better that you don't, if it's not completely broken, don't fix it. There's bound to be a few other odds and sods that could be done, but at the end of the day, Barry has the final say. So if Barry says it goes, then it goes. So we could all come up with the best ideas in the world and may not even get any further. So we just have to be model professionals and get on with what's going on, and if we don't like it, it's tough, simple as, really. So we can try, but we've got ghosts in the room.
Sounds like it.
So like as I say, Barry's done a fantastic job. He's taken us from being absolutely dead and buried in the game to making us a lot of money. So I suppose if we could change it, it'd be great. But as I say, it don't look viable that anything's going to change it at any point soon. So one other thing I think needs to change, and I think that could change very rapidly if he really wanted to, is we don't need 64 players in China and places like that.
Yeah.
Taking 64 out to Beijing is too many. 32 for Chinese tournaments. I can understand for European events, because it's not that far to travel, but when you're travelling the length and depth of the country, all over the world, 64 players in one hotel, and I think it's just too many personally. But but And then also you got the problem with the practice tables as well then, because then like you only get 20 minutes at venues, especially in China. And when you're not sleeping, there's not a lot you can do. You don't really want to be sat around waiting. So yeah, as I say, there's a few odds and sods that could be done, but all in all, it's in a lot better shape than what it was. So we can all moan about it, but the main thing is we just got to get on with it.
Very true. Martin, us at Q Sports Club would really like to thank you for your time and wish you all the very, very best for the coming season.
Cheers, thank you.